Hallelujah. Good evening, everyone. Come on in. It's Manifest Monday time. Come on in. Good evening, Miss Daisy. Thank you for joining on today. I was wondering if anybody was going to get on, but I thank you for being faithful in all that you do for the Sanctuary Church, for Bishop. You are truly appreciated here at the Sanctuary. Looking forward to seeing you for the upcoming anniversary. I believe that I saw your name on the list, so definitely looking forward to meeting and fellowshipping with you. Good evening, OJ. How we doing? How we doing? Good evening, Sean, Deacon Sean. Good to see you all. Trying to give a couple more minutes for the others to join us on today, and we will get started here in a second. I'm ready to go forth. God gave me an encouraging word for each and every one of you all on today. So definitely I appreciate God for using me. But I want to encourage you to go ahead and share this live stream on this evening so that we can send forth this message out into the masses so that it can be a blessing not only to yourselves, but also all of God's people. So if you have not already done so, please share as I prepare to go forth on this evening. Hey, Miss Candace, good to see you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Give about 2 more minutes and I'm going to take it away. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and jump right in and get started on this evening. I thank you all for being present once again. I see that we've gotten a couple of more that have joined in. I want to encourage everyone, if you have not already done so, go ahead and check in with me so that I know who you are. And if you haven't done so, also please go ahead and share this message on this evening as I prepare to go forth and just share with you what God has given me on this day. But I definitely want to welcome each and every one of you all for on this day. We know that this is truly the day that the Lord has made, and we shall rejoice and be glad in it. I pray that each and every one of you all have been blessed on today. For those that are not familiar, I am Pastor Jerron, and on behalf of Bishop Perry, by the way of PLF Ministries, I welcome you all to Manifest Monday. Understand that this is truly a time for us to be real, raw, and relevant about our lives, about the truth of God's word, as well as the things that God has called us to do. But before I go any further, I just want to take a moment just to be able to give God all the glory, honor, and praise. You know, I truly don't know where I would be if it had not been for the Lord on my side. So I just thank God for all that he's done for me and the ways that he's continuing to bless me as well as keep me throughout my life, but just wanted to take that time out. Sometimes we forget about, or should I say, I won't say forget, but we overlook just taking that time out just to give God glory, for all that He has done. So just being able to show my gratitude and my thanks unto God on this day. I would truly be remiss if I did not do that. But also want to take the time out to give honor to my pastor, my spiritual father, in the persons of Bishop Perry L. Forward, who is the visionary of this platform when it comes to Manifest Monday. I thank him for this opportunity just to be able to share with the masses on this evening, on this particular platform. On today, I ask that you please keep Bishop and the First family lifted up in prayer as they are away enjoying this moment for a time of rest and relaxation with each and with the family. So definitely want to lift them up. They will be back in a couple of days, but just definitely send up your prayers and let them know that you're thinking about them. They do. Bishop, he does have the cell phone on him. Everyone has internet connectivity, so just send them a message. Let them know that you love them, that you care, and that you're thinking about them. And last and definitely not least, I would truly be remiss if I did not thank each and every one of you all of those who are viewing online. I thank you for your support. I thank you for being present and continuing to be an encouragement, not only to myself, but also to Bishop as he continues to go forth each and every day, or as well as the Mondays when he shows up for Manifest Monday. So I thank each and every one of you all for doing just that on today. But let me go ahead and share my topic so I can see. I know that you all can see it floating across the screen. But on today, I want to speak to you from a topic, from a thought that has been just going across the internet all since last night. And that topic is God's uncommon favor. God's uncommon favor. And I love just the way that this topic or this thought really presented itself. It came up to me even on last night. But it was in her celebration speech following her third women's NCAA basketball championship victory. After capping off a perfect 40-0 season, South Carolina Gamecocks coach Dawn Staley, she responded to the news reporters and the viewers who are at home by simply saying, you know what, before I do anything, I got to give honor to the Most High God for allowing us to be back in the same place in which we had sad tears. And I just want you to know that the God that I serve, she said it again, the God I serve, when he closes a door, he opens up a door. And that's giving you unimaginable success. She closes with these two words. She says, this is uncommon favor. This is uncommon favor. And, as believers, we know that when God opens up one door, he'll open up a door for us that no man can shut. And he'll also close doors that no man can open. In other words, what I get out of that text is when God decides to bless you, there's nothing that no man or no army can do to stop what God has in store for you. Why is that, brothers and sisters? I believe that is because as children of the Most High God, we have favor, and what do we know about favor? Favor isn't fair. It's not something that we can explain. It's not something that we even know when it's going to take place, but it's something that God just seems to do when he feels like doing it. Just a few things when it comes to uncommon favor. Uncommon favor is that God will bless you even when others don't think you deserve it or they don't think you qualify for it. Uncommon favor is when God will bless you in spite of all the negative and the hateful things that people have to say about you. He will even bless you in spite of the many times that people have tried to overlook you. Why? Because as children of God, we have uncommon favor. Now, when we think about uncommon favor, what that simply means is that it's that special attention from God that can make what man considers impossible possible. Like I said again, it's that special attention from God that can make what man considers impossible possible. It's the manifestations of God's blessings upon our lives as believers. You see, uncommon favor is better than riches. Why? Because it marks us out for distinction. It marks us out to show the world who we are. Favor, it will cause men to accept us. Favor will make people delight in who we are as individuals. Favor will make people pleased to know and also to be glad to be connected to us. Favor, it also brings forth increase for those for the whole world to see. It brings increase in our lives for the whole world to see. But just a few things that we got to understand, my brothers and my sisters. Favor doesn't always come easy. Oftentimes, when it comes to favor, it's going to require us to have to go under the radar without any acknowledgement, without any recognition. People may not know us. They may not acknowledge us. They may even take it upon themselves to discredit who we are and who God has called us to be. But we got to remember that we have favor. Because I'm a child of God, he will withhold no good thing from me. I mean, when I think about, Coach Don Staley and the South Carolina Gamecocks, when we look back over this past NCAA season, nobody really mentioned the South Carolina Gamecocks. The only thing that really that they really took the time out to really mention that team is when they almost lost. But there was an uncommon player who, on an inbound pass, the ball was passed to him, to an individual that don't even shoot three-point shots. I don't even think that individual had shot a three-pointer for the whole season, but the ball was passed in at the very end of the game. So upon catching the ball, she shot her shot, and the ball went in, and they ultimately won the game. So whenever it comes to that, uncommon, like I said, it was an uncommon individual that God favored in that situation. But for anybody that has really followed college basketball, especially when it comes to the women, over these last couple of months, even going back to last season, the only thing that people have really been talking about is Iowa's star player, Caitlin Clark. This season, when it comes to Caitlin Clark, she became the NCAA's men and women's all-time leading scorer. I mean, this young lady, she can really play ball. It's like seeing a brunette Steph Curry with a ponytail, shooting up threes, launching threes from the logo. When I say this young lady, she has game. She really has game. She knows how to play it in and out. She can shoot the ball. She can pass the ball. She can rebound. She can do whatever it is that her team needs her to do. But like I said, throughout the whole last season, this season, the whole conversation, all the media headlines, they've been about this one young lady, Caitlin Clark, and how great she is. Even before the season ended on yesterday, the world was already calling this young lady the greatest collegiate player of all time. Like I said, she has the all-time scoring record for both the men and the women. But they were saying that she was the GOAT. She was the greatest of all time, all before ever winning a championship. Now, she was very successful while at Iowa throughout her 4 years there. But, like I said before, many times when it comes to favor, we have to go under the radar. People don't acknowledge what it is that we are doing. But throughout this whole time, while they continuing to talk about Caitlin Clark, while they continue to talk about Paige Bueckers over at UConn, while they continue to talk about all these other stars, South Carolina, they continue to remain consistent and steadily improving their game over these past few years. Now, like I said, they hadn't been talking about South Carolina, but I believe based off of their consistency and continuing to steadily improve their game, we're talking about a South Carolina team that went 109. They won 109 games with 3 losses over the past 3 seasons. Now, tell me, how is it possible that a team such as that with no superstars could go unnoticed, could go not even talked about, when it comes to, leading up to the championship game. This team is also a team that won 3 of the last 7 NCAA championships, and they can't get nobody to talk about them. But that's how it is when it comes to some of us as believers. When God calls us to do some things, we can't worry about all the recognition that everybody else is getting. We can't worry about who's getting elevated. But the only thing that we have to focus on is ourselves and being consistent in what God has called us to do. So, so we have to continue to focus on that. We can't worry about everything else that's going on in everybody else's life and how they may seemingly be prospering, because we know that, God, like I said, he will withhold no good thing from us, but we got to continue to stay the course. We got to continue to do the work and continuing to show up whenever, in the midst of crunch time. We can't run from that situation. We got to continue to remain steadfast and unmovable in this season. But one of the points that I want to make this evening is that we have to really understand when it comes to uncommon favor. Like I said, it does not mean that we will always get the recognition, because understand that uncommon, it's one. When it comes to success, because uncommon, it's that one thing that people feel when it comes to, let me get my words together. Because I'm running. But uncommon, we feel many times people feel like that we're least likely to succeed. It's like we're the ones that always get overlooked. We're the ones that always, at the end of the day, it seems like we have to wipe our tears after we try so hard, but we got to continue to do the work. Now, for some of you, some of you might have felt uncommon all throughout your life. If people, like they said, they have counted you out, they treated you as if you were unworthy, or they treated you based off of, where they see you now. They think it was based off of pure luck, but they didn't realize that it was all about God's favor that he had upon your life. But as believers, the things that we must really recognize is that God, like I said, he won't keep anything from us. But the thing that we have to understand is that we cannot give up. We cannot give in to the naysayers and what everybody else has to say, but we got to focus on God's will for our lives. The Bible tells us that God will make our enemies our footstool. He said, I will make your enemies your footstool. When we go back to last season, over the past 2 years, last season, South Carolina, they finished the season, I think it was 37-1. This year, they finished undefeated. But going back to last year, to that one loss they had, it came in the Final Four against Iowa, against Caitlin Clark. And that was their first loss. And it was, unfortunately, it was the loss that put them out for the rest of the season, and that they would not be able to compete for a championship. But it was immediately upon losing that game that Iowa, their players, and Caitlin Clark, they began to mock them. They began to taunt them based off of, knowing that they were about to lose the game. Some of you all might even remember it was Caitlin Clark's impersonation of John Cena's hand motions, that hand motion that you can't see me, while they were going through that difficult situation. But if you fast forward unto yesterday, like I said, the main headline leading up to the video or leading up to the game, Caitlin Clark, greatest of all time. This young lady, she was all over the commercials. Everybody was talking about her. Everybody had everything to say about her, but very little about South Carolina. But they continue to keep quiet. They continue to focus in on what they needed to do, and that was going forth to win that championship on yesterday. Now, understand real quick, when it comes to whenever God gets ready to bless us as individuals, understand that there's going to be adversities along the way. There are going to be people, they're going to talk about us, they're going to discredit us, like I've already said, but we cannot give up because God's favor is on our lives. God's favor is on our lives. So understand that as they talking, as they putting us down, we don't need to get even. We don't even need to respond. All that we have to do is continue to focus on finishing our assignment and leaving the rest to God. Focusing on finishing our assignment and leave the rest to God. See, it's just when it seems like that the enemy is prospering, that's when God steps in and he does that which is uncommon in our lives. For example, it was uncommon when God blessed Abraham and Sarah with a child, even in their old age. It was uncommon when we're talking about a shepherd boy by the name of David, who was anointed king and went on to kill that great giant named Goliath. It was uncommon when Joseph was thrown into the pit, sold into slavery, only for God to elevate him to a place in the position in the palace where his brothers would later have to bow to his feet. That's what we call uncommon favor. See, when God God favors us as believers, the thing that we have to understand that, it is not fair. Favor is not fair, but when it comes to that, when God blesses us, understand that he elevates us to higher heights, to the point where others cannot deny his favor on our lives. When God blesses you, God elevates us to higher heights, and to the point where other people cannot deny the favor that's upon our lives. Now, when it comes to favor, there are so many benefits that we get out of God's favor. Whether it be the protection and provision, the Bible tells us in Psalms chapter 5 and 12 that God will bless and he will surround the righteous with favor. Then there's also the promotion and the success that comes with God's favor. Because we know that, when it comes to promotion comes from God. Many times we think it comes from man, but that is a God thing. For even in Psalms chapter 75, 6-7, the Bible tells us that God is the judge. He puts down one and he elevates another. So what that simply means, there's going to be somebody that takes a win and there's somebody that's going to take a loss. He puts down one and he exalts another. So the next thing, when it comes to the benefits of God's favor, is that God's favor, it gives us joy. It gives us peace. The Bible tells us that weeping may endureth for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Although it may not make sense right now, although that situation may hurt, although it might have knocked you down to your knees, but understand that God, he will give us the peace that surpasses all understanding. Understand that joy will come in the morning. Remember, brothers and sisters, this is only a light affliction. This situation you might be going through, that challenge that just may simply be a bit too hard for you, understand that there's going to be joy after this. There's going to be victory after this, but we got to continue to stay the course, my brothers and sisters. And then that last point, when it comes to God's benefits gives us favor with other people. So when we really think about it, when we fast forward and we think about it, we were talking about Caitlin Clark and how they said she was the greatest of all time. I mean, like I said, this young lady, she was all over the place. But whenever that victory came, South Carolina, they immediately got favor from the world. They immediately got the recognition that people had seemed to withhold from them for a period of time. So it's truly a blessing, whenever God favors us, because like I said, we get favor with people. And I really love, just how Coach Dawn Staley, how she really took the opportunity and she didn't make it about her. She always made it about God and about what God was doing, not only in her life, but also in the lives of her players. But understand, but we have to continue to stay the course. We cannot get distracted. We cannot get off course. We got to continue to walk this thing out and understand that God is with us. He is for us, and he will, and our blessings, they're on the way. They're on the way, my brothers and my sisters. So when it comes to the benefits, because everybody always wants to see the benefits, understands that there are also conditions when it comes to God's uncommon favor. First and foremost, when it comes to God's uncommon favor, we must have faith and we must have trust. Faith and trust, that's belief and that's confidence, knowing that God, if he said a thing, that it will come to pass in our lives. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, it tells us to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding, my own understanding. But it says, in all our ways, acknowledge him and God will direct our path. In other words, we have to stop trying to make sense of everything based off of our understanding, but we have to begin to trust God and the plan that he has for us. We have to ask God for discernment. We have to ask God for guidance and direction that will help propel us forward in the plans and the purpose that he has for our lives. One thing that I noticed over these past couple of weeks is that after every victory South Carolina receives, Coach Dawn Staley, she always made sure to give God all the honor. She always made sure to acknowledge him at every press conference, for the successes that they had, even when they might have made mistakes on the court. She always acknowledged the things of God and what God had done for her life, even to the point when the media was trying to silence her. She always continued to reverence God. Because if there's one thing, if there's one thing that I understand, while people may try to silence you, while people may try to close your mouth and tell you can't say this, you can't say that, if there's one thing that I learned, my brothers and sisters, is that when we use our voice to reverence God, he will make our platforms higher and he will make our microphones, our mouthpiece, he will make them louder. I'll say that again. Whenever we use our voice to reverence God, he makes our platforms higher and our microphones louder. That means we can speak louder so that the world can hear what God has done for us in our lives. The next thing, when it comes to those conditions of God's favor, we have to understand that we must obey God's commands in order for the blessings to flow. We must obey God's commands in order for the blessings to flow. If you want to reference that, you can look at Deuteronomy chapter 28, verses 1 through 2. Even as going along with obedience, as believers, we know that obedience is better than sacrifice. So if we want to receive God's blessing, then we're gonna have to do some things. We're gonna have to remove some pride. We're gonna have to remove some of that self-centeredness, and we're gonna have to remove some of those selfish ambitions of simply focusing on ourselves and the things that we want in life. And then we have to shift that focus in and focusing on fulfilling God's will and trust that that our day is coming and that those blessings will eventually begin to follow. But we have to obey God's commands first and foremost. The next thing is humility. Humility is the next condition in order for us to receive God's uncommon favor. In James chapter 4 and 6, God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Now understand that while South Carolina, while they were undefeated all throughout this season, Coach Staley, she never allowed them to get the big head. I even love it. There was a clip I seen. I'm not sure if it was at the end of last season or at the beginning of this one, but you had all the players lined up, and you know how some of the young folks do nowadays. Whenever they take a picture, they can't just take a picture and pose, but they got to throw up the fingers, the gang signs, whatever it may be. But I love the humility that the coach was instilling in her players, how she reached over and she slapped, just like your grandmother might have done whenever you were doing something you didn't supposed to do when you were young. But she reached over and she slapped, and she slapped one of her players' hands, told her, "You put your hands down. That's not what we do around here. That's not what we represent. We don't carry ourselves that way." So, but throughout the whole season, she was always setting that example for her players to follow. So So, but those are just a few conditions, some things that we need to be mindful of as we go forth, as we prepare to receive all of God's uncommon favor that He has for our lives. Now, when that favor comes, there are also some things that we must do. And I believe it's just along with the same example that Coach Dawn Staley, she has provided not only to her players, but also to the world, is that when God does something for you, you must show your gratitude and your praise. And basically that goes back even to David. I will bless the Lord, oh my soul, and I will forget not his benefits. God, I'm going to thank you for each and everything that you've done for me. I'm going to thank you for the seen as well as the unseen. Father God, thank you for saving me. The next thing that we also want to do is we want to share God's favor. The Bible tells us to give and it shall be given unto us. When God blesses you with something, understand it is not for you to keep it to yourself. It is for you to share with the world. Many times it's how when we grow up, when our parent gives us something, we think it's just for us and we don't have to share it with nobody. But it's no fun to keep it to yourself and not share with anybody. What good is to have an Xbox or a PlayStation and you have nobody to share or have nobody to play it with? So we got to share God's favor that we that He has for our lives. And then that last thing is that we must continue to seek after God. Continue to seek after God. The Bible tells us to ask. It tells us to seek, and it tells us to knock. That means we have to be persistent. And just for you all, just in case you want to hear the whole scripture, it says, "Ask and you shall receive; seek and you shall find; knock and a door shall be open for you." Brothers and sisters, we have to continue to be persistent in seeking God daily in everything that we do. Don't like I said before, lean not to your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge God. Acknowledge God in all that you do, and I guarantee you, and I promise that sooner or later your platform is going to rise up. Sooner or later your mouthpiece is going to get a little bit louder. Sooner or later more people are going to draw near to God just because of those things that you are doing out of God's simply out of obedience. But I just thank you for your time. I thank you for being present on this evening. I'm all out of time, but I'm not out of message. I'm actually going over a little bit, but I just wanted to share that with you. God dropped it in my spirit last night, when it came to Coach Dawn Staley, uncommon favor. Sometimes, we need people like that, just to float up under the radar and just simply, allow God to elevate us when the time is right. And I'm going to tell you what, the time was right on yesterday, but the time is also right even on today for God's favor to pour out on each and every one of our lives. But I thank you all for joining. But real quick, before you depart, 20th anniversary, it is coming up. If I'm not mistaken, we are exactly 18 days away from our 20th anniversary. We got Zacardi Cortez, as you can see on the background. He's going to be here on Sunday. We got Christian comedian Broderick Rice. He's going to bring here with some good, clean laughter. And then we also have our very own Bishop Rasby G. Mason, all the way from Shreveport, Louisiana, my spiritual grandfather. It is going to be a time for us to remember. But if you have not already gotten your tickets, please do not delay any longer. If I'm not mistaken, this is the last week for ticket sales. If you need to figure out how to go about purchasing your tickets, how to go about registering for the different events that we have on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, please take a look at the QR code. Which way am I at? There we go. Take a look at the QR code, snap a picture of it, and then that's going to lead you to our Eventbrite website where you can go ahead and register. If you need assistance with registering, please, you can email me at Pastor Jerron. So you see my name is spelled out here on the screen here. Pastor Jerron, all together at tsc29.org. If you need assistance, please reach out to me. I am readily available for each and every one of you that needs some assistance getting registered and everything like that. But once again, that is all I have. I thank you for joining. Continue to lift up Bishop and the First Family as they are away for rest and relaxation. And I look forward to seeing you the next time. And in the words of my bishop, my pastor, my spiritual father, I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Be blessed, people of God.